Now, ladies, it's pretty clear that you all have very established careers in the telecoms industry. I'd like to know, how has the field changed since you entered, since you started? And what, as a leader, are you doing to make it better, as in more accessible and more diverse? Let's start with Eugina.
Oh, this question is really dear to my heart because what I do as a leader and as an immigrant woman, I sponsor females, I mentor females. I'm about to kick off 2 mentorship programs because I want to help other females in the industry to realize their full potential. The change that I see, and I know we were talking before the panel started, I think pandemic brought up so many issues, not just in the lack of females in our industry, but the lack of diversity. And the change that I see is people no longer talking, but they're taking action. Action in sponsoring, action in mentoring, action in creating the pipeline to bring more females and more diversity talent into our industry. And it is wonderful. It is so encouraging. And I'm so glad that I'm part of it and I can empower other females in the industry. So in 20 years, instead of having only 7% of females in telecom in the C-suite, we're going to have 25.
Dr. E now, tell us about how much you feel the industry has changed since you joined and how you inspire other female leaders out there.
First, undergraduate, of course, I was studying Taiwan, and in my department, the electronic engineering, I think we had 60 plus classmates in the class, but I was the one and only female in the class. And I think when I came to this country to study, particularly in Stanford, the ratio improved somewhat, not maybe much more in the software field, in computer science. But in EE, we were still like extreme minority. And I remember there was a very interesting phrase at that time that I saw, I never forgot in my Stanford era, which is, as a woman, you must work and do twice as good as a man, but then you will finally get recognized half as good as a man. Today, this panel is a very good case in point. We see all these marvelous leaders in our industry. And I think it's very important to look out for the potential outstanding women leaders in our team. But of course, you need to make sure it's fair.
Now, Beth, do you want to follow up on what Dr. E was saying?
There's been huge changes in the industry. I've been in the industry for a long time. But I think what Dr. Yi brings up, which is super important, is the mentorship and the pipeline and the support for people as they move up in the industry. I mean, I didn't have that because there were no women that I could really look up to, because there was no women in senior level positions at the time. So and so I didn't have any mentorship and I didn't have any support as I moved through my career, up through my career, and so I probably made some mistakes along the way simply because I just didn't know. And I think it's so important to create that supportive environment to bring people up in their careers and identify people as being high potential and then supporting them. The industry unfortunately does have a pretty high drop rate of people that are coming out of the STEM programs, women and minorities coming out of the STEM programs and not staying with them, staying in the career tracks because they don't get that support. And the good news is, one of the things that has attracted me to Verizon is that Verizon has a very, very strong system to support, women and minorities and move them into the higher career tracks. So, I think we're moving in the right direction, which is the good news.
Well, that's encouraging. Now, Susan, tell us about the importance of role models. Is that something you've benefited from?
Well, absolutely. I think, I was reflecting. I was one of the first women that I saw completely controlling the room and running the meetings was in China. So, I was there as a support staff to the local sales team there, and that was really inspirational to me. That here was this fabulous woman, and I think there was probably 40 people in the room, and she was the one that was ruling the show. And I think that having that visibility is really, really important as inspiration, so you can do it. When we came out of university, I really felt like, they trained me to be a CEO, but the likelihood of me ever getting there was pretty much non-existent. I don't feel that way anymore. But I would say one of the other things is that, like Beth, I had no mentors. I mean, I was lucky with a couple of managers that certainly gave me a different perspective about myself. But I think one of the things that helped me the most was actually being a mentor for others. Because as much as we like to think it's a meritocracy, we're not quite there. So how do you create the environment where you can be successful?